Beaumont, coming to you from Cape Spear, Newfoundland. Well, thanks. And I mean, are you all here? No.
Let's pause for a moment and remember I'm in the back seat with Alan Knockup.
You know that was one of the cars on that bill?
Yes, to land this. Mr. Walter Gretzky. How are you, sir?
Oh, I'm fine. I'm thrilled standing beside you.
Wow. Take two. Just go ahead and pinch me. Go on now.
Their craft stayed with 48-foot wooden schooners, the traditional kind. I'm Stephanie Beaumont. Welcome back to See and Be Seen for the final leg of our road trip to Toronto adventure. And what a time we're having. We've already partied with Alan Doyle and his pals at the Company Theatre concert, caught up to TV stars and rock stars and movie stars and more. And as for what's in store for this show, well, you won't want to miss a minute as we continue our search for East Coast folks and kindred spirits. We'll find out how Nova Scotia funny man Ron James got his start, get the scoop on a brand new show from NL fella Jonny Harris, and discover how award-winning actress Katie Boland stays so busy. We'll dole out some free stuff too, and take a tour of the Toronto set of The Listener as they shoot an episode for their 5th season. But let's get it all started with a little first things first from the star of that series.
We're on the set of The Listener. Superstar Craig Olejnik. Right here, right now. First things first. Are you ready? 5 questions designed so that we know a little bit more about you.
Right, done. Ready.
Ready?
Let's do this.
First grade teacher.
I forget.
Really?
You just talked about my memory. I forget. I remember like 3 or 4 teachers' names. There might have been a Mr. Morse. I don't know what grade that was. 2 or 3? Might have been 1.
All right.
Do you remember your first grade?
I do.
Oh, okay.
She was fantastic.
I don't.
I skipped grade 1. I was brilliant.
Still bragging about it.
That's all I have. Give that to me. Okay. First audition.
Margaret's Museum.
And he nailed it, and he got it.
Might have been a commercial, actually, before that.
What did you do?
I did a chocolate milk commercial once. Might have been it. But my first audition for an acting gig really was Margaret's Museum.
Were you nervous?
Why doesn't your mother
I had no idea what to expect, yeah. I mean, look at the whole movie. I was nervous.
You were great.
Yeah, look at my cracky voice. And you ever watch it?
I did.
My voice cracks a lot.
Yeah, well, that was the age, right?
That was
part of the
I
character.
was perfect for the role. I had no idea what I was doing. I was just trying. Is this supposed to be really rapid or?
Not with me doing it. Okay, first car.
Geostorm GSI. 1993.
Color.
It's like a blue.
First crush.
Oh boy, might have been Alyssa Milano on Who's the Boss.
Right.
Yeah.
And she watches this, so.
Yeah, I imagine she does.
And finally, first place you'd go if you had a ticket to go.
I'm sorry, she probably does watch your show. I meant
Okay,
she's not
that's
watching
fine.
my show.
I'll talk
Sorry, I took it as my show. Yes, she's watching your show. Of course.
That's all right. I've had many spirit-crushing moments during this episode.
Okay, I'm sorry.
And finally, first place you'd go if you had a ticket to go anywhere.
Oh, geez. That's a real tough one. I don't know.
Because you're a traveler.
Yeah, but it's like sometimes it's just nice being where you are now.
Yeah.
I'd like to go back to Newfoundland. That'd be good. Yeah, it's a great place. I'd like to explore a little more.
What did you like? Did you go to any cool bars?
I love the seafood the most. I hate to break it to my fellow East Coasters, but Newfoundland, I don't know if it's the 500 years of fishing history, but they really know what to do with the fish more than I would say even Nova Scotia knows what to do. We're such a beautiful, discovered, undiscovered part of the world, and I don't know. We'll see what happens in the future.
Are you coming back anytime soon?
Always.
Will you bring the listener there?
I don't know. It'd be nice. I'd like to do a Halifax episode.
I would like to be third lady on the bus, so if you could somehow write
Well,
that
if we
in.
ever go to Halifax, we'll make you the bus driver. Who's skipped first grade.
It's on my resume.
Nice, special skill.
Yeah.
We'll have lots more with Mr. O coming up later in the show. Plus, we'll check out Toby and Tia's fancy new apartment. Right now, though, it's time to meet up with a man who's made making us laugh his life's work. Cape Breton-born Ron James credits his parents with his funny. Growing up in Glace Bay and in Halifax gave him a seriously hilarious set of skills. Skills that have seen him star in multiple TV shows and tour coast to coast with his award-winning brand of stand-up. We caught up to the man at his production offices in Toronto, and with Season 5 of The Ron James Show broadcasting on CBC, I was thinking it would be fun to flash back to the early days and find out what it takes to make it in Canadian comedy.
It'll be 20 years ago this April, because Gracie is 20, April the 14th, my youngest, that I put up my first one-man show up and down in Shaky Town.
Wow.
About L.A.
Like going to Blink, or would you say?
Oh, Blink. You know what it's like. You got a little one.
I do.
You know, it's just...
Well, I don't mean her so much. I just meant your career. Like, can you believe, like, 20 years has whizzed past, and I know you've done a lot in that time.
It didn't go in a blink.
Okay.
You know, absolutely. It seems like the girl's ages went in a blink.
Yes.
But the career itself has been a victory in baby steps.
Okay.
So it's been a long haul.
Yeah.
And that's what the journey's all about. Life is all about the long haul.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen overnight. You don't catch lightning in a bottle, especially with stand-up comedy, you know. And I tell this to, I mean, everybody wants to be famous. Everybody wants to be rich and famous. Well, guess what? Not if you suck, you won't. You know, you got to put your time in, man. But it's truth. I mean, you know, it's like the first hammer a carpenter picks up, he doesn't build a mansion. No worries. And I was at the Screen Awards the other night, and I was trying to text, and, you know, I had my glasses down on my nose, and I saw Dave Foley across the aisle. He was laughing at me. He goes, "Hey, man," like an old guy trying to tweet. I said, "I hear you, brother. We've been in the trenches a long time." And so that's what it's about. It's about learning your craft. It's about the work. Your body changes at the most innocuous times, at the most mundane of movements, you know. You could be walking across the kitchen floor one day when, what the hell is that? Jesus, I was just going to get the butter in the fridge. And you go to the doctor and he says, "Look, you've got a torn meniscus. Your injury is typical of aging athletes." I said, "Athlete? Jesus, I got 7 goals in 10 years playing Halifax minor hockey, and 6 were on my own friggin' net. I guess the guys who were good must be sucking their steak through a straw now, are they?"
You're out there and you're right in front of it. It's just you on the stage. What do you love about that? That stand-up?
It's my calling.
Okay.
It's what I do, you know. And I haven't played the clubs in 15 years. So, you know, when there's a snowstorm and you've just, you know, white-knuckled a strip of Widowmaker asphalt on the 401 to hit your stage door on a Saturday night, and there's 1,000 people who've paid to see you, and you know you're going to take the car for a spin for 2 solid hours on that stage. Yeah. It's great. Yeah. And
but your show is high energy. You're out, like, I mean, you're not just wandering, you know.
No, I'm not. I just don't stand in front of the mic and tell jokes. And I think I have to pay deference to my Celtic background with that, you know, being born in Cape Breton and spending 9 years in Glace Bay as a little fella, which inspired the Little Ronnies, of course, and then moving to Halifax, being raised by all those Newfoundlanders around the house, and then the people in my neighborhood who are Haligonians. And I think being from home, we're all natural storytellers. And this might sound a little contradictory, seeing where I make my living now, but I was raised in a day when there was only one television channel. Right. So people,
Me too.
Right?
Me too, yeah.
You know, so people still hung out in my mother's kitchen telling stories, or at my grandmother's place, and so by osmosis, I assimilated a feeling for people and place. People from those days will remind me that I'll say, you know, I think I'm going to be a comedian. But I saw Saturday Night Live in 1977 or 76 when it came on. And I remembered it was the original cast, and I said, that's exactly what I want to do. So I came up to Toronto and eventually got into Second City. Right. Was in the touring company with them, then the main stage. That's where I learned the fundamentals of the craft. Right. You have to learn the fundamentals somewhere. Stage time, stage time, stage time. Nothing happens overnight.
Okay. So how often are you getting home now?
I get home. I've got home every single summer since I've lived here, other than the 3 years I was broke in Los Angeles and chasing the sitcom dream there. But I've got home any chance I could, you know, and now I'm keeping my eye peeled for some property so I can, you know, I can put my feet up and listen to the ocean, right? And drink those dark and stormies. Geez, I love those dark and stormies. That's some good medicine on a warm August evening, I'll tell you that.
For more on The Ron James Show, visit cbc.ca/Ron James. And to catch Ron on the road, visit ronjames.ca for up-to-date tour dates and so much more. He's some funny. Speaking of funny, it was just that and then some running into our pal Mark O'Brien at the Company Theatre concert. The Republic of Doyle star told us he was filling the break between seasons with movie work and series guest spots. Now, a few seasons back, Mark was a guest on Murdoch Mysteries alongside his real-life wife, Georgina Riley. She stars as a series regular, Dr. Emily Grace. Anyway, when Georgina heard that we'd be connecting with Constable Crabtree on our road trip, well, she asked me to ask him a couple of very important questions.
Jonny Harris, do you ever feel inspired by the work of Mark O'Brien as Daz? And does it influence your choices as Crabtree and in your life?
It's a ridiculous question. But it's funny, you know, how I know Georgina and Mark, because Mark and I, well, from St. John's, Mark and I were buddies. And then I met her as my buddy's girlfriend. He started dating her. And then she said one day, we were all out together, and she said, you know, I've got an audition for Murdoch Mysteries. And I assumed it was as a guest one-episode thing.
Right.
Little did I know.
That's her now.
Yeah.
The Crabtree hotline.
Little did I know that they were. I didn't even know they were adding a new main character, and that she got the role, and then they paired us off as love interests. So it was funny because then she and I become boyfriend and girlfriend on the show, and the next thing you know, I'm emceeing their wedding here in Toronto, and it was just this weird little vortex.
Welcome back to CNBC's Road Trip Special. You know, if someone asked me the best place to grab a coffee in any one of the 4 Atlantic provinces, well, I'd have a ton of awesome spots to suggest, thanks to the cool people profiles on our site. But here in Toronto, you might say I'm a bit of a fish out of water. So I asked NL-born, TO-based Jonny Harris to pick his favorite establishment in the city, and he took us straight to Luce on King. They specialize in fresh, tasty, healthy Italian food cooked up great by Maria Strazzanti. And thankfully, she and Mario Giorgio welcomed us in, camera and all. So great atmosphere, lovely latte, and I was all ready to hear about Johnny's brand new reality show.
CBC bought the format actually from a Danish company for a show called Comedy on the Edge. And the premise of the show is you have a comedian who goes into small towns that are maybe on their heels a little bit or facing the traditional kind of challenges any small town faces, you know, out-migration or limited opportunity or whatever. And the idea is the comedian goes into these towns and finds out what's still lovable about them, what's still fun, why people want to stay. And then also, over the 3 or 4 days that I'm there, I'll write a stand-up set about the town. And then on the final night, everybody at the town comes out to the theater if they got one, or the parish hall or whatever, and you do the stand-up routine for the town. Great idea.
What's it
great
called
idea.
now? What's it going to be? It's called Jonny Harris on the Cutting Edge? No.
No, it's called Of All Places. Our version is called Of All Places. But yeah, we shot a pilot up in Teeswater, a little agricultural town, about a year ago, and then there was a lot of speculation as to whether it was going to go or not, and then we just got the green light. So yeah, I'm over the moon.
I feel like hugging him, but I just met him. That's so good.
Come on, get in here.
That's so good.
We're going to start at the end of the month. Yeah.
And how are you? Okay, so this is obviously going to be juggled amidst Murdoch,
Yeah,
which,
there's a lot of juggling.
I mean, we know it's coming back, right?
Yes. Yeah, it's like 99.9% sure that we're going to...
Because people are fanatical about this show.
People, yeah, the numbers have been great. You know, ever since we moved over to CBC a couple of years ago, more than a couple now, but CBC really backed the show. They promoted it very well, and that's reflected in the numbers. And plus you had all the diehards who followed it.
Now you've got like your own merchandise line coming out, don't you? Crabtree action figures and stuff like that?
No.
Soon, though.
Soon, definitely. Within the next 2 years. Yeah.
Just to get this roll on, did you ever imagine on Murdoch Mysteries that it was going to be, when you took that, did you say, here I am now 8 seasons later?
No, never. I remember being in the ship in St. John's, and Joel Hines said to me, he said, you know, this could be life-changing. You could do this for 3 or 4 years. And I thought, like, well, that'll never happen, but... And then, 8 seasons later, it has been life-changing, absolutely.
You brought your show to Newfoundland this summer. So it was like the merger of worlds, if you will. The successful show that's sort of known internationally now, and you brought it to the hood. Tell me what that was like.
That was fantastic. And everybody, you know, like, as a Newfoundlander, of course, when you have people coming to visit Newfoundland, you get nervous. It's like, oh, I hope they like it. I hope the weather is good. And our gang, the Murdoch gang, loved it. Everybody had a great time. The weather was good.
Yes, it was.
And I had a bunch of them out to my parents' house in Pooch Cove. And we went down, you know, took
What'd you eat? Now tell us.
I got a bunch of. I actually got it catered. A buddy of mine, Pete Wedgwood's Cafe, and so I got a bunch of sort of takeaway from there.
You're like a superstar, though, right? You had it catered. I was thinking you'd be out cooking cod tons and stuff like that. No.
Well, no, but I figured I'll leave it to the professionals. You know, I wanted people to be impressed. So, and we went down on the East Coast Trail there along the water, and people were
blown away.
Yeah, you know, if you're not used to that, it's quite remarkable. So.
Great. All right. Speaking of great food, there's Mario with your pizza. God love him. There you have it. All right. So we're going to let you eat, Jonny Harris. God bless you.
Well, thanks
for hanging out.
Do you want a piece of pizza?
I'm going to have a piece. Is that
all right? Good, yeah.
Very good.
So while we partake in the pizza eating, I'd like to point out that episode of Murdoch Mysteries shot in Newfoundland had Alan Hocko as a guest star. Indeed, the 7 seasons of Murdoch are rich with wonderful guests, including the Prime Minister of Canada, that's Stephen Harper, and from the Dragon's Den business great Arlene Dickinson. Seems like the entire cast of The Listener has been on over the years, and that's Saving Hope's Michelle Nolden, playing Reverend Mother Murdoch. We had a lovely chat with Michelle in part 1 of our road trip, and purely by coincidence, our next guest on this show was on that very same episode of Murdoch as Sister Teresa. But that's just one of the over 30 on-screen roles for kindred spirit Katie Boland. From major motion pictures like The Master, to independent films like her forthcoming Gerontophilia, to tons of TV roles including her breakout character Clarissa on Rain, to her own hit web series Long Story Short, the 26-year-old has been beyond busy, and we're so glad she took a break to share some insights as to how she keeps getting gigs.
I think what has helped me a lot and what helps people is try to become a part of the community. There's, especially in Toronto, and I imagine even more so in Newfoundland, the film community is very welcoming and open, and there's a lot of different organizations that you can become a part of. And I think that's helped me because I know a lot of these filmmakers personally, and then since I'm a friend of theirs, they're like, oh, well, do you want to do this part? Or so I think that's how it works.
Let's talk independent film because you're. Can I say the darling? Would that be right?
I'll take it. I don't know if it's right, but I'll take it.
It's funny because, well, I obviously Sweetie Face, it was really you and Mark in that. But there's a lot of other, like, cameo appearances and things. And that must go to the network then that you're talking about, where you've got friends. Oh, I'm making this movie. And
yes,
okay.
Yeah. I mean, Mark was really the driving force behind that.
Yes.
And he worked so hard, and he pulled a lot of those people in it. But
I just mean when I see you, oh my gosh, there's Katie Boland.
Oh.
Is that just because people will be like, I'm making a movie? And
yeah, and I really believe in perseverance and just sticking around for long enough. And I think when you just stick around in a scene, or you meet a number of people, or you're auditioning enough and people are seeing you enough, then, you get jobs. I really think it's perseverance.
Really?
Yeah.
Determination and all that jazz.
Yeah.
Okay, so I wanted to, because I'm jumping all over the map. I can't believe it's Katie Boland. That's really sweet. No, it's true. So let's talk Sweetie Face, because I see a movie like that, and it just seems so, like, intimate, maybe, if that's the right word.
Yeah.
What is that experience like? Because it all hangs on, and your emotions are like this throughout the whole thing.
Yeah.
How long did it take?
We shot it over 2 nights. It was 2 overnights in like a bar on College Street in Toronto that a lot of Newfoundlanders go to. So that's how we got the location.
Nice.
Mark set that up.
Yeah.
It was very intimate. It was like a very small crew. And I like Mark really did the lion's share of the work on that film. And I think that, he made it a very intimate set. He's very easy to work with. We're pretty close friends, so that helped as well.
Right.
But yeah, it was fun. Yeah.
I know you've spent some time on the East Coast. Are there any of your favorite places you could share? Is there one thing that you did that you loved, that you...
I love the Duke. I think the Duke is really fun. I just think everyone from Canada and even like from anywhere should go to Newfoundland. It's such a unique experience. Like the last time I was there when I was shooting Dennis, another movie that Mark and I did, is with a lot of other people from Toronto. So we did the touristy stuff, like we did whale watching, and I just like walking around downtown too. And I think like if you can go to Newfoundland, just go and experience like how wonderful and friendly and warm the people are. It's really special. It's really, really a special place in the world.
Katie Boland, I can't tell you how great it is to finally meet you, and I'm glad that we caught you now, because I just imagine the next time I call you, like, I can't talk, I'm so busy.
I don't think so, but thank you. I'm so happy I got to do this too.
Cheers to Katie Boland.
Cheers to you and Newfoundland and CNBC.
There you have it.
You can find our extended interview with Katie on the website, along with how her family ties lead to Canada's East Coast. And since we're en route to the set, we should tell you that Katie's most recent Canadian Screen Award nomination was for her role on The Listener. Yep, she was on that show too. So cool. And it's beyond cool that we are here in the offices of the IIB. There's Craig and castmate Lauren Lee Bell shooting an episode for their 5th season. So while they're at that, I want to give you a sneak peek at Toby and Tia's new apartment. Moving in together has them moving on up. And you'll be seeing a lot of this set in season 5 as Tia is here to stay. I'm on the move now. Just outside the Listener Studio 10 at Pinewood, we found the hair and makeup truck. And wouldn't you know it, key stylist Jennifer Gould hails from Nova Scotia.
You have great hair. I wondered if that was a prerequisite. And I can see every time she turns towards me, she cringes just a little, like, what happened to your hair, right? I can see that.
Well, you know, thinking of a couple products.
I have a lot of issues. Let's just move along. Okay. Here's a good question. Ever stopped at a scene? The hair is terrible.
Yes.
Really?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I tell the director what to do.
No. This is a career-limiting interview now for Jennifer.
No, I mean, sometimes we do. We all sit at the monitor, we're watching, and we all watch our department, right? We all have specialties. And if there's something that is extremely distracting and you know it's important enough, you might point to it on the monitor quietly, and the director will be like, okay, you know, we'll let them practice. Sometimes we just let the actors go through it because they need to practice and become more cohesive. And then I go in and change it, or other times it's the shot, and we got to get it, and we go in and we'll be like, yeah, you know, if it's a wig, say, and it's showing or falling apart.
Okay, and so but you're doing everybody. When it says key, are there other people working for you then on a show like this, or are you?
Yes. Okay. So there's a bit of management involved. So I've got a full-time assistant, and on a really big show, you can have a couple full-time assistants, and sometimes the key isn't even the highest position. There's a designer on top of that that, you know, tells the key what we're looking for.
The only other thing I just want to talk to you about quickly is it's a small world, right? It's a big world, and yet how is it possible that you and Craig are from the same hometown?
I don't know. I think that's just you know, they say you end up conglomerating in the weirdest ways. And when I found out he was from my hometown at Greenwood, Nova Scotia.
What?
Yeah. It was rare. Like, he was hesitant. I said, "Where are you from?" Nova Scotia. Yeah, okay, where? Annapolis Valley. Where? And I kept getting smaller and smaller. Finally he says, "Yeah." I said, "I know where Greenwood is." Yeah. Wow. Very good. I think the most confusing thing on set in this episode has been trying to deal with the fact that, you know, in Nova Scotia, everyone calls everybody Buddy randomly. So the person down the store, at the store, oh, well, Buddy's going to get you this. And Buddy. Well, we have a character named Buddy on this episode. And I keep looking like, who, where, who is this guy? And yeah, it's been pretty funny.
Little smidge of home.
Yeah.
From a little smidge of home to a whole lot of loot, courtesy of our good friends at Shaftesbury Films, the folks behind The Listener and Murdoch Mysteries. So get this up for grabs now: a Murdoch Mysteries hoodie, notebook, mouse pad, and a signed picture of Constable Crabtree, aka Jonny Harris. If you can tell us, what food did Jonny and I share earlier in the show? Once you know it, hit the website at cnbc.com, click on the TV Free Stuff button, and submit your answer. Good luck to ya, and we'll be right back with Craig Olejnik.
First of all, come on. Ladies and gentlemen, Craig Olejnik. I'm here.
Yes, you made it. Where have you been before here?
I've been out there, but now I'm here. Let's just get right down to it then. You're from home. Hey, and you were there this summer. Talk to me a little bit about working on the East Coast.
Oh, yeah, right. Yes, I worked on Haven and Republic of Doyle.
Yeah.
Those are the only two things I did last year in the summer.
That was nice.
That was very nice.
Usually you're traveling, but you put it out there. You worked.
It was my first time to Newfoundland, I'm ashamed to say, but it was amazing.
Yeah.
And working out with Haven and with Chester and Lunenburg.
Yep.
Yeah. Beautiful.
You were in both.
Yeah, I used to play hockey there.
Is that true?
For sure.
Huh.
Yeah.
What position?
I was centerman.
Okay. Very
Left
good.
wing, centerman.
Yeah. You're fast.
I was fast.
No hockey anymore?
Hockey still, but you know, I gave up for a lot of years.
Okay.
You know, I didn't have the money to afford to play, so you know, here we are now.
Just want to get back to Haven and Doyle because you've got such a great camaraderie here on the set of The Listener. What was it like dropping into those other environments and those hit shows?
Well, I forget the number, and on both crews I knew people.
Oh yeah.
From previous seasons of The Listener.
Right.
So that felt good. And then, quite honestly, you're on a show like this long enough, and you know what's going on a set that you're able to connect with everybody quite easily. And everyone out there is having such a blast, too, because, come on, working in the summer on the East Coast, outdoors most of the time, it's kind of an amazing deal.
Yeah,
So
you can't beat it.
we're very jealous here, locked up in our studio while it's snowing outside. And
Well, let's just talk about it. Because season 5, as I've heard now, because there's so much, only so much they'll tell me, but everything's amped up. Everything.
that's what they do.
The pressure.
You know? Every year they amp up. Of
scripts,
course. Anxiety's
How
higher.
are you, by the way? I was going to
You get
say.
older. What?
Who ended season 4 kind of.
What happened in season 4? I don't remember what happened at the end. Oh, a little shaky because I shot a guy. It's TV. I'm not
People
condoning
care
violence.
about Toby. Like,
Do
how
they
are
really?
you? That's what I want to know.
I
As
think
they
he's
say
good.
back home.
He's fine.
You look good.
You know, we have to understand that it's a little like The Simpsons, where everything resets, you know? I might be up $1 million by the end of one episode, but by the beginning of the next, it's like it never happened. There's about 20% that travels through, but, you know, like I have a girlfriend, and she remains the same. And I have a buddy, and he remains the same. But, you know, things, they don't go from one episode to the next, really.
Okay, one other thing, it's the question that I get asked to ask you all the time, and I don't think you're going to want to answer it, so don't get mad at me. But everybody wants to know, what happened before? What happened to Toby before? And now Tia, is it right that she's going to look back and find stuff? Or
I believe so. Let's just be quite honest here. There are powers that rule the earth that we don't know about. There's Big Brother, but then there's beyond Big Brother. In our case, we have a similar situation where there's powers that be that we will maybe necessarily never see their faces, and maybe they affect the decisions from season to season. So to go from a season 1 where you have a mythology and you're following me trying to find my mother, to season 2 where none of that exists, but we're now in season 5.
Right.
I'm not necessarily sure we would be in a season 5 if we continued with season 1.
Right.
Season,
so they're smart.
They changed. So the powers that be, you know, we may not love them every time, but they know what they're doing sometimes, right? So we're really only here talking now. You made it, by the way. Good for you.
Yeah, I'm excited. And also, did you think it would be 5 seasons?
You know, it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy. You don't know. You don't. How's that happened? I don't know.
People love it.
I guess so.
Yeah.
You can watch this episode and all the great Community One programming anytime you want. Simply click the on-demand button on your Bell Fiber Op TV remote and follow the steps on your screen. Huge thanks to all the East Coast folks and kindred spirits who have made our first road trip to Toronto so much fun. Be sure to visit cnbc.com for extended interviews and bonus features, and thanks to you for taking this trip with me. I'm Stephanie Beaumont, and I'm heading home.
Best thing about living in Toronto is the burritos. It's the burrito capital of North America. Any type of burrito you can imagine having, you can find it here. Cheese burritos, non-cheese burritos, animal protein, vegetarian, whole wheat tortillas, corn tortillas. I'm telling you, the list is endless. Burritos.